I wanted to share with you in this video why it's so important that you take control, take charge of your retirement. And the information I'm going to share with you by the end of this, you're going to say, yes, Mike, I absolutely need to take control of my retirement. So before we move on, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like and the subscribe button. That way you're notified each time we come out with a new educational video that will help position you to retire happy. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. So now, when you think about retirement, you think about happy things. You think about traveling. You think about adventures. You think about a journey, right? You want to be active. Everyone thinks about retiring happy. They think about traveling, fishing, golfing. You get it. All of those things, right? Nobody thinks about that, hey, Mike, when I retire, I want to go work at Walmart as a greeter. No, that I promise you that is not somebody's plan, okay? They do that for a reason because they have to, because their retirement income is not sufficient to keep them going. So they have to do something, right? But when you're thinking about retirement right now, I promise you, you're thinking about doing other things. You might be thinking about retiring early. We're seeing a trend. A lot of people want to retire early. Doesn't mean that they want to stop the income. It's just that, hey, I'm done doing what I was doing before in my career. I want to do something else, because you want to live life. You want to be active. That's what positioning yourself to retire happy is about. So let's take a look at this, and I'm going to share with you where does your money go? So you think, okay, I want to retire happy. How come I'm finding it a challenge to save for my retirement? Well, this is where your money goes. If you're making $100,000, which isn't much these days, unfortunately, and I call this the retirement savings trap. So where does your money go? Well, taxes is a big part of it. 30% between your state and your federal tax, you're going to be at $30,000. Now, if you're in one of the states where there's no state income tax, it's going to be a little less. Your mortgage or rent, you're looking at $30,000 a year. That's about $2,500 a month, maybe more, maybe less, depending on where you're at. Car fuel, take a look at that. Groceries and dining out, utilities, discretionary, which is your clothes, your travel, those incidentals, right? Medical, credit cards. Why do we have credit card debt? Well, and it is climbing because your monthly or your annual salary is not enough to cover all your needs because of taxes, high rent, inflation. So now people are having to tap into their credit card for some of the basic needs. Well, you're borrowing money to pay for some of the basics, and now you have an additional monthly payment. And we haven't even talked about student loans yet, or future college if you have kids that you want to set aside money for them for college. And then what do you have left over retirement? Well, absolutely nothing. So the retirement trap is most people say, well, you know what? I'm going to pay my credit cards off and then I'll start saving for retirement. I'll pay my student loans off. Then I'll start saving for retirement. The problem is that day never comes, or it's 5, 10, 15 years out. In the meantime, you have lost the most valuable asset that you have when it comes to saving for retirement, and that is time. You need time. So what you want to do is you want to start saving now. Pay yourself first. That is absolutely what you want to do. Your bills will get paid. If you have to cut back on your lattes or cut back eating out for lunch and make your own lunch, whatever it may be, pay yourself first and trim some of these other areas. Otherwise, what's going to happen, 5, 10, 15, 20 years is going to go by. Now you're going to be, in your 40s, your 50s, and you're thinking, okay, now you're going to get a little more serious. But what happens, you don't have the time, and you have to contribute more towards your retirement savings in order to have enough. This is the retirement trap. So start saving today. Let's move on with this. I'm going to share with you why it's so important. When you think about retirement, and let's say you're thinking about a dream home, a beach house, right? You have the money. You're thinking, okay, when I retire, my dream is I want to live on the beach. What does that look like? Well, you probably want to have a beach home that overlooks the ocean, right? Something that's nice. You can smell the ocean air. You can feel the ocean breeze. You have windows throughout, so you get a nice cross breeze. You can see the sunset. You can put your toes in the water and your ass in the sand, so to speak. It's just beautiful, right? You look forward to that. You can picture it in your mind. It is that clear. But what happens is if you don't have a plan that is written down with details, what is it that you're going to end up with? Well, for many people, they end up with something like this. And this is what your retirement will look like, honestly, by not having a plan. Here, you have a beach home. It's overlooking the ocean. It is on the sand. You'll be able to get those sunsets. You'll feel that ocean breeze, right? It is on the sand. But I promise you that is not what you had in mind. When you were thinking about your retirement, you were probably picturing something a little more manicured like this, right? But this is why retirement planning is so important. And when I talk about retirement planning, I'm talking about you taking control, taking charge, so you understand your 401k, your pension, what the contribution limits are, when you can take it, right? And what are some of the other retirement savings that you can take advantage of to build that solid foundation that you need for retirement. When you have a solid foundation, the sky is the limit. That's how important of retirement planning and building a foundation is. So you are the architect of your retirement. Think about that. Just like if you're building a home, your beach home, right? You're the architect for your retirement. And it begins with retirement in mind. And you work towards building that retirement, you adding clarity to it, building that foundation. That's how important it is. But more importantly, you need to have the mindset that you need to take control and build it as if your retirement life depends on it, because it does. It absolutely does. Let me go through a rapid fire quick facts. 401k savings plunged 23% in 2022. So that means retirees are fearing that they're going to outlive their money. And the solution is that you move in with your adult children because you don't have enough money. That's not positioning yourself to retire happy. But more importantly, do you realize that 23%, if you have $1 million in savings, retirement savings, which isn't much, that's $230,000 you lost. Take a look at this. Average inflation, 1960 to 2021, was about 3.8. Some economists believe that our current inflation right now is 15%, in that neighborhood. Unprecedented spending bill, as you see with the government, $80 billion going to the IRS, which means that they're going to hire these enforcement agents. They need to capture more tax dollars. Why do they need to capture more tax dollars? Well, our U.S. debt is at $31.5 trillion and going up. What does that mean for you? There's no hope that we are ever going to pay that $31.5 trillion off. So trust me, it is virtually impossible at this level. So what do they have to do just to kind of sustain it and to keep things going? Taxes are on the rise. Taxes are going up. So you need to be prepared for that, right? Right now, you're probably in the neighborhood of 25 to 40%, depending on your income and if you have state income tax, depending on where you live. Think about it. 25 to 40% of whatever you make is going towards taxes. Taxes are going up. You're going to pay more in taxes, which means you're going to have less of your retirement savings that you've worked hard to accumulate over 20, 30, 40 years to spend in retirement. So you need to think about that. Social Security, will you get it and how much? Will it be around when you retire? Well, I think it's going to be, because I don't think there's a politician in the world that will want to kill Medicare and Social Security because they won't get reelected. All right. But there will be changes. U.S. median home prices are at an all-time high. 64% of Americans are not prepared for retirement, and the other 48%, they simply don't care. The biggest fears that people have is running out of money in retirement. We do a lot of planning. I can tell you right now, people that have a 401k, in 8 to 10 years in retirement, they are running out of money. If you have an opportunity to be on a pension, pensions are a guaranteed lifetime income. So if you happen to be a public employee with that, you have that. Might be less, but you've got a guaranteed lifetime income with the pension. Let's see, number one reason that people file for bankruptcy is due to medical expenses, and 72% of those people had some form of health care. So how could that be? Well, it's because medical expenses are through the roof and your insurance doesn't cover everything, all right? Almost 1 in 4 American cancer survivors said that they struggled to pay medical bills, according to the CDC. And many of them worried about their out-of-pocket medical cost and that it may lead them to some financial challenges. Here's why this is so important when you think about retirement. If you have high medical cost and you have a cancer, heart attack, stroke, something major like that, many people, if you don't have money, where do you get that money? You have to dip into your retirement savings to help pay for that. You've just robbed your future retirement to pay for today's medical expenses. So you need to make sure you have proper coverage today to protect your retirement as if your life depends on it, because it does. All right. Majority of states, if you're a public employee, this is for you. Majority of states are struggling to meet their pension obligations. Many states today have 50 to, if they're lucky, 70% of their liabilities, covered. So what that means, for every dollar of liability, they only have 50, 60, or 70 cents. They're underwater, but they have these obligations with their pension. So what does that mean? That means changes are coming to pensions. They're always changing them, all right? Now, here's some of the obstacles that prevent you from retiring happy. Market risk. Do you realize that a 35% market loss will require a 54% cumulative gains just to restore your losses? Now, based on a 40-year historical average, the chances of that happening in a 10-year period are only 89%. So if you're getting set to retire and most of your money is in the market and it loses, it dips, you can literally wipe out 20, 30, 40% of your retirement within a 6 to 12 month period. If you don't believe me, go check out 2008 and what happened back then. Taxes. That'll be your single biggest liability when you go to retire, is your taxes. We already talked about that. Running out of money. Mentioned that. 401ks running out in 8 to 10 years. Many of the plans that I see. Government controls your retirement. They control how much you can contribute and when you can take it. Most of your plans, you can't touch that money till 59 and a half. Otherwise, you're going to get penalized with a penalty. What happens if you want to retire early, right? Well, good luck. What if you want to pay more? You have the money and you want to contribute more to your retirement so you have more in retirement. Well, if you're on a 401k, you're going to be limited there. There are other options available that your advisor may not be sharing with you. What if you want to keep more of your money and pay less taxes in retirement so you can enjoy it in retirement? You want to keep more of what you earn. I mean, it makes sense, right? After all, it is your money. Well, there are solutions for that as well. All right. Did you know that there are retirement solutions that will allow you to put away as much as you want with zero market risk and provide you with tax-free income? You probably didn't know that. Did you know that if you're getting set to retire and that money that you've accumulated over the past 30 or 40 years and you want to protect it from market loss, that there's solutions out there? It's called a fixed indexed annuity. Okay, it'll protect your principal, provide you with some modest growth, and you can turn on a guaranteed lifetime income. These are things that you need to educate yourself on and take control, take charge. Don't let your advisor advise you on how they're going to control your money. It is your retirement. You need to control it. All right. So what are some of the next steps that you can do to take control, take charge, and position yourself to retire happy? Well, first of all, begin with retirement in mind and determine how much you're going to need to retire happy. Where do you want to travel to? Where are you going to live? What kind of activities are you going to do in retirement? And then next is identify where you're at today. And when I say identify where you're at today, I consider it to be a retirement snapshot. What does that look like? From your 401k or your pension, your IRA, all your retirement savings accounts combined together, what does that currently look like for you when you go to retire? Once you have a retirement snapshot, now you can take a look at it to see where you need to contribute more, or can you optimize your current assets to maximize and protect them, all right? And then start saving today. I don't care where you're at. Start saving today. Don't wait to pay your bills off. Next is always, this is just very wise, sound advice. Always look at how can you free up money. Minimize your expenses where you can. Few less lattes, right? Review and allocate your current retirement savings to minimize risk and optimize growth. Take on a side hustle. You know, if you're not in a position where you have all the money where you can set aside and your budget is pretty skinny already, take on a side hustle, side gig job that you can earn an extra $500 to $1,000 a month that you can sock away into retirement. You're either going to do it today or you're going to do it when you retire. Much better to do it today while you have the energy. And the other thing that you have is you have time on your side. The more you can sock away today and let it grow, the better position you're going to be. All right. Then be consistent and dollar cost average. And then last, download the Retire Happy Planning Guide and schedule an appointment with one of our Retire Happy guides. They will complete a retirement snapshot for you so you can see exactly where you're at today and help you accelerate the process. So those are some of the things. Now that I've shared all this with you, you have the freedom to choose. What will you choose to do? Will you choose to retire happy? Again, you are the architect of your retirement. So take control, start planning, and retire happy. Have an awesome day. And again, before you leave, make sure to hit that like, hit the subscribe button so you're notified. Have an awesome day and retire happy. Take care.